reason XL won that game. I think that it becomes a lot easier to win if he's not playing that Talia.
Yeah, and they also really need to be careful in the early game, properly snowballing. I think in the draft already it was really clear that there will be a lot of mid lane tension and that whoever gets to snowball early game will keep it for quite some time. So I want to see them doing that again, but in this case also recognizing that, you know, those fights in bot side where Trundle is just invading and all this kind of stuff, those plays are extremely important in the early game and need to be thought of way more.
Alright, so as we get through this ban phase, there is the Talia going to be moved off the board. Just as a quick reminder to everybody, Holo, Team Atlantis' sub mid laner, still sticking in for this game. And of course, with the side selection, this game is Atlantis' side choice since they were the lower seed. They chose blue side, whereas XL had chosen red for game number 1, so this is why we're seeing them on the same sides. There's Morgana ban away, but back to the Talia.
Yeah, like maybe picking a Caitlyn again. I mean, Caitlyn is just, you know, very fan favorite here.
I wouldn't be surprised to see if this is just like a rinse and repeat in draft. Maybe a tad bit of stubbornness coming through from the coaches, but also just in general, I think if you are both these teams, you go into the game, if you're Atlantis, thinking, well, we actually played that game really well, we just needed to execute the snowball a bit better to turn it into a victory. And if you're XL, you think, okay, the draft was fine, just need to chill out a bit more in the early game. So we might see some very similar picks coming through from here, and so far, it has been more or less a rinse and repeat with some tweaked bans thrown in there.
The prophecy. Is it a Trundle now?
All right, well, we got 19 seconds to find out. Taxer did seem to do pretty well. The Baron steal, as you mentioned, was a big game saver. I think he was still able to match pressure for the most part, even if he couldn't get the same number of kills that Aesthetic was pulling out.
There it is, but the big difference between this Trundle pick this time around in this draft is there is no Kha'Zix ban beforehand, which is what they went for in that first ban rotation last game, because Aesthetic is notorious on that Kha'Zix pick, and that's why he was playing great. There it is, and that's why he played Graves last game, because it was, what's the Kha'Zix but isn't Kha'Zix because Kha'Zix is banned. And then he found himself into the Graves pick, and then, yeah, there's basically going to be a rinse and repeat as far as the draft goes, as far as the components of the draft goes.
It does seem like they wanted to get rid of all the jungles last time, and when it didn't really matter, well, you can free up your bans for something else.
I think personally this is totally fine. Both teams had their upsides, you know. Hopefully Aesthetic performs, you know, stronger on the Kha'Zix than the Graves, especially if he gets early kills and can be more annoying, more in the face. We also have the Braum pickup. I mean, Braum has been picked throughout the tournament every time. I think it's the most picked pick right now with like 34 or 35 picks in total, so you know, I'm not surprised.
Yep.
It's a mix-up from the Tom Kench, though, that XL had last time around.
That was because it's kind of a similar reason why we're seeing Kha'Zix now instead of Graves, because Braum is the one you want, but then Braum gets taken away so frequently that you knock down until you come into the Tom Kench.
There was also the Zoe picked as well.
Yeah, which is another...
Which can't get the Mustache Man, go for the Catfish. That's what you're saying.
Although in that case, you can't get the Mustache Man, and he's not a catfish, though. He's a sheep. We'll take that.
That's true.
It's two very different animals.
They are two very different animals, but animals nonetheless. Speaking of animals, Sendo on his Shen is a filthy animal, and that's why it's being banned away here from Atlantis.
I was thinking that you would struggle with the segue, but you did.
You stuck the landing at the end. I'll give it to you.
I dig myself into these holes, and somehow I managed to find my way out of them.
I think you just find buried treasure. That's what happens. All right, so we've got the Ornn, we've got the Shen band. There are a lot of tanks banned here. Do we get to see Sendo again on a carry champion? I know you weren't super happy with the Camille.
I think they'll put him on one, but I don't want to see him on one. It's all he's played so far in this tournament. And the Karma is I don't like Camille's Karma personally, but it's basically all he can play. He has these 4 champions that he can play, Ziggs, Galio, Talia, and Karma. And if you've taken away his 2 favorite ones, you've got Karma left, and that's what we're seeing being locked in.
Yeah, I'm looking more for top lane here because there have been so many top lane bans. This is really the time where you can flex a bit, show what you can do. Similar good pick here as well. I think the Karma blind always, you know, does well in the early game.
Okay.
We've got an Ahri, so Holo already showing a very different champion pool. It was the first Zoe in the group stage. Now we see the first Ahri coming out as well.
Before the buffs even coming in here. So
yeah, it's 8.6 we're still on.
Yeah, so interesting pick. I personally really like Ahri because this champion is just extremely fun. Has really cool gameplay because you can channel the ultimate twice into a combo because it's just such a long duration. So really, really good Ahri player since it's everything basically outside of the W's skill shot. You can do a lot, and I think Cho'Gath, very, very smart choice here. Maybe we see a like a GP or something.
I'll probably just pick Camille again, honestly.
Camille.
It's you're kind of handcuffed into it a little bit when you've got the common mid lane. It's like if you pick a tank top, then your whole win condition revolves around Venza, which, hey, Venza's a good player, and that's not too bad by itself. But generally speaking, it's risky to have just that one carry. So yeah, it's not Camille, but it is the carry in that top lane.
And there's the Vladimir.
I don't know.
Yeah, if we're just looking at the drafts right now, I think Atlantis has like very solid catch potential. They have the Ahri, they have the Kha'Zix, they have a Shogun Burst with like 1 million true damage. So I think in team fights,
mathematically accurate.
Yeah, no exaggeration.
I'm just citing the numbers
like
here.
The Morgana binding that lasts for 1 million seconds.
Exactly, as well. So those two together basically one-shot whoever. Yeah, and I think that XL Esports generally here, I think it's very interesting that you're drafting a Karma with a Vladimir together, because you're speeding up everything, you're looking for the backline threat, but then you have a Varus which is relatively short range. So it's very important how stylistically they are playing here, how they are looking to get the catches, and how they are looking to defend as well against Atlantis. If we're looking early game, I'm pretty sure that XL should be pressuring here with the Trundle Karma, but coming level 6, where the Karma just doesn't get an ultimate, it gets probably more in the favor of Atlantis. So I think this will be a back and forth series again, and depending who executes better will come out ahead.
I know this is obviously going to be a hard one though, since we are currently still looking at XL on the verge of making it through to the next round. Shibi, who do you think is going to be the winner of game number 2 and why?
I like Atlantis.
I know you're looking at Foxdrop.
But I will take Atlantis here because I like the Ahri pick.
Okay, Foxdrop?
Well, they are the English team, but I mean, I like to keep more spice on the desk, so I think the fact that the slight alterations in the draft work more for Atlantis' favor, so let's keep it spicy. I'm going to go for Atlantis.
All right, we've got 2 analysts going for Atlantis, looking for that 3-game series. We'll see what our casters have to say as we send it over to them to get us into game.
Foxdrop, you traitor. XL have shifted up their pick and bans a little bit more. I literally didn't know where I was going with that. I'm just I'm so disappointed in Foxdrop right now.
It's fine. I'm sure, the UK just, disbanding.
We're pretty used to disappointments in this tournament, to be fair, so you never know.
Yeah, and I think looking into this tournament, you've had the UK starting out, struggling a bit, then, they start picking up tempo, suddenly Misfits look strong, suddenly XL look strong. Now into playoffs, suddenly Misfits look weak. Where will XL land? And I think that Atlantis have looked much stronger than we expected. Whereas XL, I genuinely think have maintained form. They haven't looked weaker, but certainly people they came up against have looked a lot stronger with this sub in the mid lane.
Well, XL definitely got challenged in that last game, but we'll have to see exactly how they fare as we're going to load through onto the Summoner's Rift. XL taking on Team Atlantis. XL do have match point in this series, but I'm pretty excited by this Ahri, man.
They just about have match point. That was very, very close, very back and forth from both sides. And while the desk said it was poorly played, I definitely do think there were some highlights to look at for these guys. Certainly Hollow with some of these picks on the Zoe was quite impressive. That's why we saw a band away from him. Now on the Ahri, a champion able to get similar style of picks. Certainly, obviously it sounds less annoying as well. Ahri is, much easier to listen to.
It's very safe as well in mid, especially when you hit level 6. It's pretty hard to actually get killed on Ahri unless you really, really badly miss position in lane. So you have to keep our eye on that. Once you obviously have that Spirit Rush, you can get out. But I want to look at the players. I want to look at the teams here. That was back and forth. That was a vicious game, and it could have been anyone's at any point. Aesthetic did do that interview fairly recently where he talked about his ability to mentally reset his team. How he kind of talks the team, gets them right, cool. Don't worry, that game was bad, but we can reset. Burndell for XL does a very similar thing as well. Very good at resetting his team's mental. So both these teams had a very mentally punishing game. Going to be very interesting to see actually how they are going into this next game.
I think, you can even see the similarities if you look at their domestic records, things that ended to put them in these first and second seeds for their regions. Atlantis managed to turn around and reverse sweep a team in their Nordic Open finals. Whereas on the other side, XL almost reverse swept Misfits and then just got beaten out in that last game. So certainly both teams capable of turning it around mid-series.
That speaks absolutely miles for their, their mental, for their ability to reset. I do want to keep my eyes on the same 2 players though. I want to keep my eyes on Taxa. I want to keep my eyes on Aesthetic going into this game, because the desk we're hitting on about how Aesthetic, one of his key and one of his strongest junglers is this Kha'Zix. and he is a major carry for the Atlantis lineup.
And you could see, yes, they specifically banned away the Kazakhs, or Excel specifically banned away the Kazakhs last game just to avoid Aesthetic being on it. More so as well as the Trundle matchup, it does quite well. As we've noted previously, Trundle is not so great into these carry matchups in the jungle, does prefer to face off against either tanks or Predator junglers. Now will find himself again just slightly further behind Aesthetic in the 1v1, which is exactly what Atlantis want. He is their carry, certainly in the early game.
And it also speaks into their playstyle, very similar playstyles between both of these junglers. Taxa loves to go in for the invades or look for those early ganks. Aesthetic loves to just play constantly in the face of his opponent jungler, or in this case, potentially the opponent mid laner. So Camille is getting chunked out. Hollow does have that charm, going to go a little bit wide as Camille. Ducking and diving out. Does need to be a little careful as Aesthetic hops over the wall. Knight goes down. Camille, a little bit greedy there.
Smart moves from Aesthetic and Hollow. If Hollow had landed that charm, it certainly would have forced out the flash earlier. But what he did was he then started positioning towards that top side, knowing that Aesthetic would get in leap range, and regardless, does end up forcing out that summoner.
And that was a really weird decision by Cromel to over-aggress there, knowing that the charm was wide. With Ari, generally if you miss the charm, that's the point when you back away. You go, cool, trade's done, I can't fight anymore. Especially with the changes to her E now, where it's reverted back to what we used to have on Ari, where you get extra damage.
Now, I'm not sure that's true on 8.6 as we are playing on.
You're right,
so
we are on 8.6
That is not
I'll have to double check
necessarily true, so we'll come back. I think she has still got this good pick potential, and certainly with Electrocute, you do see that come through. And you saw it even in that trade when the Electrocute procced. Nice bit of damage onto Cromel there.
Well, we haven't talked too much about these bot lanes. Venza versus Raphael, you know. Two players who really stepped up, especially Venza, in that crucial last team fight in the last game. I mean, we saw the replays. He was untouched for at least 20 auto attacks. He was just pumping out that damage, and he was on that Varus. And this isn't the first time he's done this. He did this versus Origin. He did this versus ClickTech multiple times. He has been so solid for XL, and he's always been a solid thing they can lean on, moving on into these later stages of the game. Yeah, this time he's got Cromel to enable him on the Karma.
And that's why we liked the way Aesthetic was playing at the start of the game. They're playing this early aggression, not allowing XL to scale up into the team fights that they have shown they can perform quite well in. And then the aggression started to fall away. XL playing around the map that bit smarter, starting to drag people around with the Camille split pushing. And while, as the desk noted, it wasn't perfectly executed, it held them into the game long enough for them to eventually not only scale up, but find the fight that eventually defined the game.
Wasn't just the split push from Sendo, it was also Taxa's smite as well, which was pretty impressive. Just to rectify my point, I am very wrong. This is before Ori had to change to her charm, so it's not that old charm, unfortunately. You don't get the movement speed buff as well.
And they call me Colorcaster. Don't worry about it.
Thank God you corrected me.
Anyway, it's still an interesting champion pick, something we haven't seen in a while. Maybe occasionally in solo queue as well. The pick potential certainly there. And as I noted before, the Electrocute means you can get a good bit of burst down. And I like that it's similar to the Zoe pick that allowed them to accelerate the game in their previous game one. It gave them the control for the early game, or the early to mid game. And I assume Hollow looking to have a similar performance now.
You said to me during picks and bans when we were watching them go down, you're saying, Vladimir has a very good lane into the Cho'Gath.
It's certainly very comfortable. There's very few ways for the Cho'Gath to comfortably aggress onto him. You know, you can see Sendo will just have a pretty easy time playing forward, and it's going to be even easier again now that he's sitting on the heel from the Unsealed Spellbook. Just going to be able to play as far forward as he likes, just getting those Qs down, sapping the health away from Svene, and while early on he's certainly not going to be able to kill him, it will be fairly comfortable farming matchup for the Vladimir to scale up into.
Well, Hollow now has that level 6, point where he becomes a lot safer with this lane shove that Hollow has. He's able to walk into the jungle with Aesthetic, but a great pillar will slow it down that. We do need to talk a little bit about Taxa and Aesthetic. You're seeing Taxa's pretty content, just hard farming, 42 CS to 28 CS at the moment.
Yeah, and I think just having a much easier time in this Trundle, and of course that play in the mid lane meant that in terms of farming, some of the tempo was taken away from Aesthetic, and that does give Taxer a little bit of an XP advantage that will need to be made up for.
Interesting to see actually how Sendo's going to play this lane out, whether or not he's going to go more for that split push style. Was
3 members here from Atlantis.
3 members looking forward. Remember that Feast is available to Svene. Sendo can come through as well. Flash is already burnt by Taxa. And Hollow did pop the Spirit Rush, trying to find an opening.
I think that's fine for him. Fairly low cooldown ultimate, as ultimates at level 6 go at the very least. And it forced out the flash from Taxa, removes some of the ability for the jungler to playmake. Very important this early stage of the game, specifically when you're looking at a matchup like Kha'Zix Trundle as well. It means that if the Trundle mispositions even slightly, you'll be very punished by this Atlantis comp with this stage of the game, a lot of damage.
Now Camille, we like to see him kind of neutralize lanes. It's generally, like Foxdrop said, he has quite a small champion pool, quite a limited champion pool. We've seen him play Karma 3 times now in the European Masters. First time Venza was gifted over the Kai'Sa, and it was just the Venza show. He really popped off. This time he's got himself onto that Varus, has got himself some decent late game, and I have to see whether or not Camille actually will be able to kind of put the effort in for his team. Taxa maybe looking for a dive here onto Svene. Do have a lot of damage. He's going to already dodge out that rupture, but here comes Taxa. Does have that subjugate, and he's going to throw it down. Hemoplague's already been popped, and they're putting the damage in. That red buff is taken away for the slow as they're looking for first blood, but Svene is still somehow alive. The heal gets popped, and Svene is picked up by Sendu for first blood.
Yeah, nicely played from him. Just jumping the aggro aesthetic.
He's actually got that taste of the fears. He's trying to get that damage. He's slowed up by the red buff, and Sendo now trying to get a bit more damage out, but it's a 1-for-1 in the top lane.
Still well played from Excel there. Starting to use that Hemoplague, use that pillar very aggressively and find themselves the pick. It's going to be another trade down towards the bot lane, but nothing coming of it aside from a few ultimates used. But certainly back towards that top lane. Aesthetic finds himself the kill. Once again, as we expected from this jungler, even when the game is not going perfectly their way, he is the cleanup crew.
Cleaned up pretty well there. Came with his mopped up that top lane.
Aesthetically pleasing, one might say.
That joke's been made.
Absolutely.
That joke has already been made multiple times here at the European Masters. I do want to loop back towards this mid lane as well. Camille, last time we saw him on the Talia, he was roaming constantly. Great Weaver's walls, always putting the plays down. This time he's on the Karma. Not going to be able to roam as much as Hollow's gone forward, looking for that charm. Flash over the wall by Camille already. He's got that temper down. The slow is there. Hollow able to pick up the kill. Meanwhile, in bot lane, Lion taking a lot of damage, but Venza is ignited down. And XL just going to have to sacrifice a little bit of pressure here in this bot lane.
Yeah, and again, it comes back to how Raphael and Lion have improved. But let's look at the top lane first. We saw this replay. Subjugate on top of the Hemoplague meant Svene was taking a lot more damage than you generally expect to this early on. The Cho'Gath, Taxer, maintaining aggro there means that he's the one who's slightly lower, which gives Aesthetic the opening. And from there, he does manage to just about pick up the kill. But look again now, Aesthetic using that kill to his advantage, trying to find himself more pressure in the opposing jungle.
Aesthetic were able that shove as well, making his way down. Sendo trying to make sure his jungle is nice and safe, but we are seeing the vision start to come down a little bit by Atlantis, but so far the vision war isn't really settled. No one's taken a big control on one particular point of the map. And I want to see Taxa starting to be a bit more proactive. He did obviously get that first blood for Sendo, but when we saw him on the Zac versus ClickTech, he was really showing up. He was
and he's going to try to be proactive in the bot lane.
Well, yep, Chains of Corruption's there. They've got those concussive blows stacked up, and the stun goes down. Taxa with the slow. Headbutt pulverized by Lion, and they should give this over to Venza. Picks it up with a piercing arrow, and XL 2 for 2 on the scoreboard.
And smart to play around the bot lane. They have a lot of CC with that Change of Corruptions, and Jewel able to follow up with the concussive blows. And it also means that this dragon will be focused down by Taxer, who can solo it, but won't need to with the XL bot lane coming up here. Aesthetic will want the steal.
Be very, very careful for Aesthetic. He's standing in that bush, got himself to slow down, but a pillar chases him up. Here comes Hollow as well, and they're resetting back onto that Baron. Dragon, sorry, is Camille. Got that tether out. Watch Hollow. He does have that Spirit Rush. It's 3,000 health. Duo puts the wall up. The charm connects down onto Venza.
Oh, Aesthetic!
Aesthetic deletes Taxa. Now Raphael's on the way through. Cloud Drake is gifted over, and Hollow now needs to be a little bit careful. Ace in the hole comes down, and Camille has picked up the flash forward from Hollow. One auto attack goes a little bit shy. And Hollow not able to pick up that kill in return, but it's 2 kills and a Drake over to Team Atlantis.
And again, it's back to how well Hollow plays around these river fights. A massive improvement for Atlantis on how they play these, you know, mid-game river fights. I suppose early game I still put ourselves in. Early to mid-game, we'll call it. Certainly now Hollow picks himself up the blue buff. Just looking so much stronger than Atlantis had looked previously.
Tower on half health here in the top side by Sendo. Constantly pushing in Zvene, and both of these top laners are concerned for these teams. Zvene not really been showing up. Sendo definitely looking better. He's looking to have improved over the European Masters, but for the moment, still has quite a lot to prove. We'll have to see whether or not he's going to be able to do so.
Of course, we talked about how good a matchup Vladimir has at Cho'Gath. It has allowed him to push forward, start trying to take that tower, and he now Taxer fighting Lion as he goes for the aggressive play.
Pillar's been thrown down. Lion now has that subjugate on. Joel coming through. Look at the bit those concussive blows down, and Lion does not have flash. He is stunned up and locked down. It looks like Taxa trying to get himself the kill. The charm of the Orb Deception goes a little bit wide as Taxa gets headbutted up. Glacial Fish has been thrown down. It's been a fight as Taxa flashes forward. Now Raphael needs to be careful. He's ignited, and the blast code will not buy you time. Taxa is able to pick up the kill.
And Aesthetic was so far away from that fight. They just needed to run as soon as it started. And instead, they end up losing two completely unnecessarily there for Atlantis.
We are seeing Venza want to just get back to farm up and try and get this first turret blood for his team now that the bot lane duo are both dead. That tower is very, very low. Venza should be able to drop this down, and this will be a great pickup for XL.
And this plays back into what we talked about with the two bot lanes. XL, okay.
Teva's on. He has got Taxo. Pillar comes down, and a little bit of poke to the face as Zephetic leaps over the wall. Hollow coming in with the Spirit Rush, looking for that jump. Camille needs to dodge out. He flashes out, and now it's Taxa who's on the wrong end of the wall. He's going for Aesthetic, but he can't quite get it. The Q goes wide as Sendo already forced to use that Blood Ball, but on the back, the Winter's Bite picks it up. It's a 1-for-1 trade.
Just about picked off there by Jewel, who's now sitting happy as Braum with the double buffs. Really strange trades from both sides, trying to get the pick from Atlantis, and XL trying to respond in kind.
Well, the Shurelius has reset for Sendo now, so he can obviously pop that if he needs to.
Shurelius, by the way, is this new pickup for Vladimir that we've seen come back into meta. Certainly a lot of Korean players have been playing it. You know, you rush the Shurelius. It's quite cost efficient for the Vladimir and means that you can chase people down quite effectively, similar to the Hextech Protobelt rush that was previously quite common. You often see the two in tandem as well. Very hard to then escape the Vladimir.
Well, Sendo? Sendo, obviously.
Somewhere between Vlad and Sendo. I get where your head was
He's
at.
Vlando, my dude. That's what he is. Well, Vlando is, as his Australian cousin, is obviously going to want to be chasing people down. I have Foxtrot laughing in the background.
I don't know why I was Australian. I'm also a little confused here. I can see where he's coming from, but regardless, Sendo playing the Vladimir.
Looking to chase people down. I don't even remember where my point was. Let's talk a little bit about Australia, though, because there's Australia lanes happening for the moment. Both of them are switching out. It looks like the pressure that Venza and Joel have been able to accrue in that bot lane, able to get themselves first turret blood. They're now looking to pressure that and apply that in the top lane and to crack open the map with these turrets.
And the important thing for XL is that they were the ones who picked up the dragon this time, and now they're the ones with pressure onto Rift Herald. They have the neutral objective control.
Well, they do have a charm onto Joel, but it looks like Aesthetic trying to blow members up. Getting that reset down, and now Joel has been separated up. Glacial Fisher comes down. Here comes the charm from Hollow as he hops forward to the Spirit Rush. Ignite comes down, and Hollow is able to pick himself up a kill.
And it's Hollow and Aesthetic working really well in tandem here are the two big carries for this side, showing up where, honestly, the rest of the team for now are not.
God damn it, Camille, why have you picked up a Banner of Command as your first item again? Talk to me about this item.
It plays into this absolutely uninteractive lane that we've noted Krimo wants. He does not want to have to fight, so he simply opts into not doing it. Allow the minions to fight instead. Well,
looks like XL do want to fight a little bit here. Krimo chasing forward the rest of the team, just scaring away Raphael. Raphael was forced to flash there, so have to keep our eyes on that, but XL not going to be able to gain too much but Raphael's flash for the moment.
Again, just really strange, just aggression back and forth from these sides. XL still winning out because they are the ones maintaining good objective control. And while Atlantis are still finding the picks, this time looking a lot weaker in terms of what they can actually get. And you see there, some of the power of the Shurelius manages to let him escape that fight.
Svetic just sniffing around. He has spotted Taxa. Taxa has not spotted him, obviously, because he's gone invisible as he entered the bush. Looks like he's just scouting out Taxa's location. Got a couple more minutes for that Rift Tail to be used as well, or to be picked up, sorry.
Yeah, last time we saw it actually cancelled out. See if we see, you know, a more successful Rift Herald this time. Hopefully for either team. And I think it's still XL with control. They're the ones that have their bot lane up here. They're the ones that have already taken that first tower. See if they can maintain that control now and avoid a good pick from Atlantis, as Hollow, again, looking really solid for this team.
Venza could get picked out. Ace in the hole comes down. He is losing so much health. Taxa steps forward. Subjugate already on, and they've charmed up and locked down Duel, who throws down the Glacial Fissure. He's still somehow alive. The flash comes out, and they are going to be able to walk away. XL peel out of the pick from Atlantis.
Venza threw the Chain of Corruptions the other way. He just completely whiffed it in that fight, backwards. And from there, you know, it's really easy for Atlantis to turn away. They maintain pressure, and now XL with no response.
Looks like they're going to be able to pick up their first turret as well. Pillar's been thrown down. Remember, Hollow did already use that Spirit Rush, throws out the Charm and the Orb of Deception. Subjugate's on. Taxa just wants a little bit of help, I guess. Remember, that is a banner minion. Hollow will not be able to clear this out, and it looks like 3 members strong trying to get it out, but here comes the rest of the team. Lions go forward. Sendo already forced to use that Blood Pool, and Kramil is just getting liquefied. Zvene able to pick the kill up with a feast, and the turret will remain.
Now Sendo just needs to find his way out. Has the Blast Cone, has Jewel with him.
Already forced a flash out. Good. Winter Spite slows them down, and now Duel needs to be a little bit careful. Or he could just turn around.
Yep. And as we noted with the banner command previously, but is worth reiterating, it does play into a very uninteractive lane, but it means you have absolutely no damage or even AP for your shields, and leaves Kramil open to being picked off, as we've seen time and time again in this game. 0-3 now on this Karma. Still looking to scale, we'll call it.
Well, we're approaching that 20-minute mark, and once again, Atlantis and XL are so close in the gold. So close to each other. We do have to note that Venza now has his Rage Blade. We're building towards that Blade of the Ruined King. Raphael has got his Infinity Edge and Static Shift finished up, so he is an entire item up on Venza for the moment. This is a good position for him to be in, but Venza hasn't based quite yet. He's sitting on roughly the same amount of gold as his counterpart.
See now if they can use Venza once more as their insurance. So you can see he's actually 700 gold ahead of his counterpart, but certainly his items just being that little bit more expensive for now. He will find himself the Blade of the Ruined King on this back, and from there start looking that little bit stronger. But I think the person I'm worried about, if I'm him, you gotta be careful of Hollow and Aesthetic, because they are pretty much the win conditions for Atlantis at this point in the game. Try find themselves some picks, and so far they've had a great time of it. Once that Wit's End comes in for Venza, it will be much harder for at least Hollow to pick him off.
Hollow's been so fun to watch, man. As a player, he picked up the Zoe's first game here at the European Masters, then picks up an Ahri. 2 champions who a lot of people don't really rate that high. As Vene is on the receiving end of a gank from Taxa. He's trying to chase up for a bit of damage, does have that feast. The Hemo play comes down, gonna heal up Sendo as he flashes forward. Zvene trying to find that opening, trying to find that feast, but Sendo's still alive, and he's going to be able to pick up the kill. Taxa shuts him down. There's still a banner minion in this bot wave, but it looks like on the other side, Atlantis just pretty content, trying to take a turret.
And they absolutely will be able to. Comes back to Aesthetic, has that red buff, and of course Kha'Zix with a lot of AD will have a good bit of damage. XL looking to respond in the mid lane.
We'll have to see whether or not they're going to be able to respond as they're getting collapsed on from behind. Well, flows down the Winter Spite. Taxa's there as well. Chains of Corruption, I think, actually went a little bit wide. Lion with his Unbreakable on for the moment, trying to be a bit tanky, but watch Aesthetic. Maybe looking for that opening. Has been spotted out on a ward, and now there's 4 members of XL. They weren't able to take that turret, so Atlantis once again with this tempo advantage over XL.
Yeah, now they're sitting on a 1k gold lead. It's pretty much just the 1 tower. See if they can maintain it. See if they can keep looking for these picks that they've been so good at finding so far. Aesthetic playing into the back line, and Hollow is just able to dance around that front line.
Seeing Aesthetic has his Duskblade, has his Warriors finished up. He is in a scary position. The Moby Boots means he's going to be able to move around in the darkness, invisible, nice and quick. And if you're XL, you've got to be very, very worried about that. We now have that Blade of the Ruined King finished up on Venza. But Raphael hasn't backed since we last checked the gold, so he's going to be building towards that rapid fire cannon.
And touching on good banner commands, I like it here for Zvene. You are very AP reliant on the side of XL. Your only AD damage, realistically, is that Trundle, who's mostly a tank. And, of course, you have the Varus, who's still very reliant on his magic damage. And as the game goes forward, will really struggle to actually poke out those banner minions. If you manage to set up a siege, which you can absolutely do with a Caitlyn and even an Ahri, just zoning people away with those charms.
Both of these mid lane turrets remain, but it looks like a fight is starting to break out. Svene with that subjugate on, getting tricked through, and Zendo able to pick up the kill. This was the player who we had concerns about. He's now 2-0 on that Vladimir.
I think it plays into how Taxer has played around the lane. It's very smart. The subjugate hemoplay combo absolutely pumps a lot of damage into this Cho'Gath. Very difficult for Svene to actually respond, and also a player that was concerning in previous games, now finding himself, you know, continuing to be a concern.
Hollow did take a little bit of poke, but Camille, with that very low AP build like you highlighted, not actually putting too much damage out with those Mantra Qs.
And part of the weakness of this is that you're now so reliant on Venzer. The smart thing that XL have done is make sure Sendo gets a bit further ahead. And with Sendo ahead, you at least have 2 carries, even though Karma is relatively low AP.
Well, looks like XL stepping forward, do go on a trap, but this turret under fire. Chains of Corruption comes out from Venzer. There's going to be the Glacial Fissure to boot. The turret goes down. Nobody's died in the fight quite yet as XL standing on top of Lion, and they are slowly working through him. Venzer's able to get a kill. It's 2-0 for XL.
It was actually Raphael going down right at the start of that fight. A huge amount of burst very quickly onto him. Nicely played from XL here. Get themselves 2, get themselves the tower. Now start moving towards this Baron. Don't necessarily need to take it, but you could certainly turn around and fight if necessary. Start baiting it out, start getting control of the area.
Well, they're trying to clear out the vision for the moment. That Scuttle Crab will constantly be feeding information to Atlantis, and very worried about Aesthetic being able to steal it. Remember, Taxa did do so last game. Don't want a repeat of that. Aesthetic now just walking back into this jungle, looking for as much as he can steal, as much vision control as he can place down.
Yeah, and I like the vision control he's been able to get just by stealthing forward. You can see that control ward on the red buff. Nice from Aesthetic here. And if that does give them a pick, in that area especially, it will likely be a turn towards Baron. As long as they can escape on decent health, as we've seen a lot of these fights. Very, very low on both ends.
It's so crazy with the amount of fighting we've had here, Tiger. All of these, the gold is still dead even between both of the teams. It's a 1k gold lead over 2XL, but that's nothing to speak of. That's nothing big with the amount of action we've seen. And Taxa could be on the receiving end of an Ahri charm, or Ahri could be on the receiving end of a Taxa pillar. Venzer and Camille chasing down. He's got the speed buff on. The Taxa is stepping forward. The Orbiter section goes down. Aesthetic forced to leap over the wall, and Hollow now making his way out. XL starting to get a little bit of vision dominance here. Trying to clear out these wards.
Very safe pick, that Ahri, as you noted. Didn't even have to Spirit Rush, but here's the fight.
It looks like Duel stepping forward, looking for that Glacial Fissure onto Raphael, who's ignited out. Headbutt pulverize from Lion. Here comes onto the back line. Hollow trying to pump that damage out. Camille's still alive. Venzer's dead. That is huge. And now Atlantis starting to punish the UK. XL are on the running end. They're trying to get out, but a knock-up comes through from Zena. They have a tower to hide behind, and it's 1 pick for Atlantis.
Look how low Aesthetic is on the side as well. Cannot continue towards that Baron, but he can certainly go for this Mountain Drake. Nice pickup for them. And again, continued objective control for these guys. However, because of the towers that have Excel have managed to pick themselves up, it's still completely dead even on that gold line.
Well, this turret going down in the mid lane, this should give a bit over to Team Atlantis. And once again, the lack of AP for Camille means he offers absolutely 0 wave clear. So with Venzer dead, will be detrimental, as Taxa at least will be able to answer a turret back. It's still 4-3 on the turrets though. It's a 700 gold lead to XL. It's so close this game, and there's so much on the line. Neither team willing to give up anything big, neither fully willing to commit to a fight just in case that's where it goes wrong. Remember, for Atlantis, they're the last hope for the Nordics, and they are 1 game away from being out of the European Masters.
And wanting to play tentative is absolutely understandable on that side, but I think XL have played into it with this draft. They scale incredibly well, allowing Venzer to be the star carry, Karma to facilitate that, also avoid some of the picks that Atlantis can do with this Ahri and Kha'Zix pick. And from there, of course, you have Sendo, who scales up quite nicely himself.
I will correct myself on that point. Ninjas in Pajamas are a Nordic team. They're just not from the Nordic League.
Nordic Open.
Yeah, this is the last team from the Nordic Open. Obviously, Ninjas in Pajamas made their way into the tournament off the back of being in Challenger Series.
And then we're not talking about Movistar Riders being a team of 4 Swedes. Why on earth would we note that? Because, of course,
they're representing Spain.
They are representing Spain. And as we talked about representation, this is, of course, the last representation from Nordic Open, as we were talking about. And I think not looking to be knocked out yet, looking to continually play forward here. They've got good control around this Baron area. Can they find themselves a pick, and then maybe the Baron itself?
Pick is exactly what they're looking to find, but the last representation of the UK team also not willing to give up. There's only 1 ward for XL, though, in that Baron area.
And it's actually cancelled by the control ward.
It's blind as the control ward, but does now look like XL have got the priority on the river, so they're going to be able to walk through and clear out quite a few of these wards. Want to make sure they get as much vision as possible, but this is really good vision control by Team Atlantis.
So far, so back and forth, as we noted in that game 1. It remains the same way in game 2, but I think part of this is what XL want. They want to be able to scale. This is fine for them, whereas Atlantis, well, you'll always have that pick potential, and we saw them use that in the last game. Once XL get themselves into a team fight, they've shown that they can execute extremely well.
Oh, Hollow already forced to use that Spirit Rush, gets slowed down by the pillar, but they're not chasing for more. I say that as Sendo coming over the wall. The chant goes onto Venza. He is getting melted through. Somehow stays alive. And Sendo able to pick up the kill.
Just about survived. See if Aesthetic can find someone.
It looks like Aesthetic can find someone, and that somebody is Karma. Kramil not going to be able to go down for the moment, but Duel goes in with the Glacial Fissure. A lot of damage in the pillar. Aesthetic forced to flash over as the pillar now proving to be a bit of a problem for XL, but Aesthetic getting ripped through, and Sendo picks up his 5th kill on this Vladimir.
And that's the 2 carries that you're worried about as XL. You're worried, okay, the jungle and mid can make these picks. Now both of them down. You can start moving towards this Baron.
Like you said about 10 minutes ago, Venza is that player. He is the one that they're putting all of their investment into. There's a Knight's Vow sitting on top of Venza. There's a Zeke's. Everyone, there's the Karma who's going to be building towards.
Sensors, Vene still able to steal though.
Can able to steal indeed, so they're actually just turning their attention back towards him. Remember that Blade of the Ruin King can work through, but Raphael has a lot of damage. Vene already forced a flash. Winter's Bite tags him down. Sendo looking for his 5th kill. Is Venza actually going to be able to get it? Kramil, ooh, takes a big chunk into the back of the head as Lion stepping forward, forces the flash out, and Atlantis able to hold on.
Not entirely sure why he flashed there, considering that Lion doesn't have his own flash. I think he was afraid of the Ignite getting into range, but still a little strange from Krimmel there. Oh, forced out though, and now it is Atlantis trying to use their tempo, seeing if they can get moved towards this Baron themselves. The TP.
Well, it looks like for now they're going to peel off as Sendo teleports in to the Baron area. Someone needs to deal with that big wave stacking up for Atlantis, pushing into XL's towers for the moment, and that person will be Sendo, but he has now already had his teleport baited out.
Yeah, I think it was actually Krimmel's teleport baited out. Of course, Sendo's still sitting on that ghost, but we can see, of course, that this means that they are out of map movements. They need to just quickly clear waves. They need to quickly run around. Atlanta's still in control of this area. Can they start taking this Baron? They absolutely can start it. Can they finish?
The vision, and it's already gone down. Ardent Sensor's been picked up on Kramil, and Hollow already stepping forward. Venza now needs to find this opening. It's 2k HP for the moment. So this time can't get the steal down. It's going to get chopped up. This could be the fight, though, as Venza still untouched in the fight. As Vene slowed down, and it looks like the rest of XL starting to work their way towards the tank. Concussive blows will stack up as the damage is coming down. He gets a knock up, and Kramil able to find the kill, but Sendo comes in huge! That's the ultimate onto Raphael! Pop goes the Weasel as he jumps into the fight! Not going to get the damage down though! And XL only managed to find themselves 1.
And as he weaseled his way into the backline, it doesn't matter as they managed to just about escape that Hemo Plague. Well played from XL, trying to punish it, but certainly Atlantis find their way out, still have that Baron. They're willing to give up 1 tower for it. Maybe now they can look again, try group up, see if they can win a fight with it.
Chains of Corruption are available to Venza. The turret is falling down, and this time, even though Baron is sitting on Atlantis, Without their tank, they're not willing to really go for the siege. It's a 5v4. Headbutt Pulverize goes on the free by Lion. That's big, and they're getting charged up. Venza's forced to go golden.
Down.
He's underneath the tower, and Hollow's able to get the kill. Aesthetic stepping forward. Void Spikes are going to slow down, but not going to be enough for them to get a kill. Great pillar by Taxa will stop Atlantis from advancing.
Actually pinned Kha'Zix there, but it's Vene in the back.
It's Vene! Not going to get that knock up, and that's a little anticlimactic.
Yeah, I was so ready for that one, but unfortunately Vene just can't quite find the knock-up. But it does mean that they could maintain the momentum. We were talking about how strong this banner minion can be. With the Baron buff, even stronger again. So hard for XL to actually deal with this minion right now.
Well, now Venza has picked up that GA. He does not want to die this game. Turret for turret trade comes down, and Sendo actually cancels Hollow's back. He's chasing forward. He's got that Shurelius. Here comes Taxa as well. They're trying to put that damage in. Watch the pillar. Hollow already forced to use that Spirit Rush, but Sendo still chasing for a bit more, and Hollow will be able to make his way out.
And this should be Dragon for XL. This momentum back and forth has secured neutral objectives of the past. Actually helped secure that Baron for Atlantis here. See if XL can use it now. Get themselves more objectives on the map. Atlantis want to fight
smited. His smite will be up in a few more seconds, and it looks like Drake will get turned onto. Blastcone delivers free over to El. Yeah, he's right. He's fine. Yep. Getting a little nervous there. That's going to be 2 Cloud Drakes over to XL, and this gold still is so close. We're 32 minutes in, and XL, this has been the most they've been punished. This is the most they've been pushed in this entire tournament. Against Origin, they just got stomped. Against ClickTech, they just kind of stomped. But this is a team who are challenging them on everything they do.
I mean, you say that, but at the same time, it is technically XL in the gold lead. It's just the objectives now, the momentum back and forth that Atlantis have now in their favor. Can they use it? Can they use that Baron buff against XL, who should struggle to clear out the Banner Baron minion, who need to look for an engage to actually fight it?
But the Baron buff is actually starting to slow down. It's starting to wear off, and Atlantis have only been able to gain 1 turret, but XL still gained a turret while that Baron buff was on. So for the moment, looks like Atlantis have just not found what they needed, but setting up some vision control, setting up some death bushes. Venza and Joel stepping forward need to be very careful for Aesthetic, who's popped the ultimate. It's going to be hard to kill Venza unless you one-shot him through all of the shields, through all of the defensive tools available to XL for the moment. But Aesthetic could just do throw. Pop that ultimate, he's stepping forward, trying to find the opening. Kamel has been caught out, got the shield on. Aesthetic goes down. That's going to be the knock-up onto Aesthetic as he goes over the wall. Meanwhile, on the top side, Svene trying to find an opening as well. Kamel exceptionally low. Lion steps forward. Watch Hollow on the side. Spirit rushes in. Charm goes a little bit wide. Does connect onto Taxo, and that pillar once again stops 4 members of Atlantis in their tracks. Hollow now trying to get a bit of damage onto the turret. The Baron has worn off, and the damage onto the turret is very much alive, though.
Yeah, they managed to take 1 tower with that play. And again, it's all about how Hollow and Aesthetic are playing around these fights. They're able to make these picks. They're able to at least force people back. And while they don't end up with kills, they still end up with pressure, enough to push for towers.
This is this mental reset that Aesthetic can do for the team. You can see Atlantis come back. They are not down, and they're not beaten down about that loss. They're holding on tight versus XL. 60k gold onto both of these teams. 34 minutes on the clock. And this is still anybody's game.
And we talked about how XL are happy to scale, but certainly Atlantis showing that their comp doesn't mind it either. They can still find picks at any point of the game. That's what happened last game. We talked about the scaling of XL's comp, but then out came Atlantis. They were able to find pick after pick. Eventually going down, though.
Aesthetic does obviously have that leap available to him, but look at this tower on the top side. Taxa's just willing to tank it up and try to take it down. Has got Venza with him as well. And that'll be the 5th turret going down for XL Esports. Bot lane very low as well.
And so just back and forth. But look at Sendo's lead as well. 5-0-3 to 1-5 on that Cho'Gath. Partly expected because of how easy the lane is and Taxer being up there, but certainly it will help out as the game goes forward. You can see there pretty much an almost 2k gold lead. And more importantly, a great scaling lead for this Vladimir, who can just get item after item. Now has the Rabadons as well.
But Hollow also has a massive lead over Camille. Obviously, Camille is more utility in this game, but Hollow's in a very scary position. He's almost finished up his last item, got a big CS lead over Camille. And you're starting to see him really kind of pay off as If he lands a charm onto Venza, Venza is dead. Venza obviously now been recognizing that, picking up the GA. Hasn't picked up that Wit's End like you said on. He's actually looking to build towards probably an Infinity Edge. I assume that won't be a Bloodthirster.
Now, I was talking about the Wit's End as a potential response to Hollow, but of course having a lot of true damage on Ari, maybe deciding that it's more important to make sure that Aesthetic cannot one-shot him, and we've seen that. Aesthetic has gotten onto Venzer time and time again, and Venzer has managed to survive.
Oh, he's also got onto Kramil multiple times. Hops out, doesn't want to overcommit, knowing that Venza and Jewel are there. Chains of Corruption's up. This is an open inhibitor, remember, for Team Atlantis. Baron spawning in 45 seconds. We are resting on a knife's edge.
But it is Atlantis with complete control over that Baron area. The vision entirely dominated by Atlantis. The one ward for Excel in the pit. They will at least know it's going down, but for now, Atlantis can just move back, start clearing it out, start maintaining that control and using the trap line that Caitlyn is so well known for to zone people out.
Zendo stepping forward, but not able to actually get too much with it. Again, gold is dead even in this game. It is so close. Venza getting sped up. Maybe they're looking for a pick onto Svene. He gets slowed down with a pillar. Subjugate gets thrown out. Svene on the run as he will dodge away from the Winter's Bite, and XL invest quite a lot and they don't get a single thing, but look for Hollow. He could be going in. Nasha has just spawned, and XL maybe just turn their attention straight onto the Baron. They're going to peel away for the moment.
The Hollow's still there. He actually took the Blast Cone to deny Taxer one way into the pit. Hollow now by himself against this many people could be dangerous.
Does have that Spirit Rush available, and he's already forced to use it. But the rest of Atlantis now turning onto Baron. Duel being sped up, looking for the ward over the wall. Has spotted it out, 5k health. Can we see Taxer make a miracle happen again? Does have the flash!
Oh my God!
Taxer, you are a beast! Now a knockup goes through, and XL need to try and stay alive. Venza's full health at the moment, and Lion is firing down. He's gonna go out as Raphael is forced away from the fight. What is this? XL is playing insane!
Are you kidding me? You have a Cho'Gath. You can secure that. Time it with your smite, man.
Svenu just pulled his inner Kerberos there. For anyone who doesn't know, Kerberos is a UK scene player who is notorious for failing his feasts.
And this could well just be XL completely shifting the momentum of the game now. We talked about the scaling of their comp. They can use that. They can start moving it up. It's looking like they're pushing straight for the base here. Dene not going to respond for quite some time.
Well, they held on tight, but it looks like now XL looking to sink Atlantis. The turrets are going down. There's only one that remains. Kramil stepping forward, trying to slow down the team. The Nexus is laid bare, and the damage is there. That will be it. XL 2-0 over Team Atlantis.
And while we predicted the 2-0, we did not expect Atlantis to come out so strong. They looked like they had a new lease on life. They'd come out with Hollow, a lot more aggression. Timed well with the Aesthetic. It was a much stronger duo, but it just didn't matter because Excel looking so much stronger in the important team fights.
That is 3